Hey guys, today I want to talk about the Eastern Conference in the NBA and how great this upcoming season is going to be. Keep in mind, I'm a pretty casual NBA fan, but since starting my fandom in 2021, the narrative around the East has been that it's just this much weaker conference. So I think that this season is going to put that narrative to rest, especially if LeBron is signing in the East, which I think he is because today is July 21st. He hasn't really signed yet. So yeah, let's give a ranking of all of the teams and see where it goes. In last place, I have the Brooklyn Nets. This really shouldn't be too much of a surprise. I mean, Michael Porter Jr. and Julius Randle as your stars is not going to equate to a lot of wins, especially going into 2027. I wouldn't be surprised to see either of these guys get shipped at the deadline for a pick or two. I think this is a year where they play the few rookies that they picked up in the draft and just attempt to get better. I have them around the 18 win mark, maybe 20. I don't know. It's such a fall from grace from the big three they had a few years ago with KD, James Harden, and Kyrie. In the 14th spot, I have the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks were just the 11th seed with the top 5 player in the world on their team. I'm fairly confident that they will be worse this season, which I know is a hot take. I'm excited for the Bucks because they got Braden Burries and Nate Ament, who both seem like studs. I just hope they get the chance to really grow and play a ton this year because those rookies seem like the only way the Bucks will be able to crawl their way back into relevancy. As a Miami fan, I'm excited to see how good Cole Ware can be for them. I'm hoping he really gets a chance to flourish in Milwaukee. I saw some reports about him and Spo not having the greatest relationship, but having Tyler Hero as your first option doesn't exactly get you into the playoffs. I'll be surprised if the Bucks win 25 games this year. At unlucky number 13, I have the Charlotte Hornets. Losing LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges is going to really hurt them. Brandon Miller might have an all-star type year, and Concanapple is one of the best three-point shooters in the league, but I sadly don't think it's enough for them. Hopefully Steinbach and Christian Anderson can show flashes of becoming stars, but I haven't heard much about them. I have the Hornets around the 30-win mark. In the 12th spot, I have the Chicago Bulls. I think I'm a little higher on the Bulls than most people. I wouldn't be surprised to see them make a run for the play-in, but the rest of the teams in this conference are just that good. Caleb Wilson seems like an absolute stud already. If Noah Senge can come back from injury and be a solid player, then I think the Bulls are only a solid center away from coming back into the national spotlight. Josh Giddey has been really solid and is on triple-double watch every night. Matas Bucelis also had a really good year last year, and I expect him to expand upon that. And the Bulls also signed Norman Powell, who would definitely add some scoring to this team. I could see the Bulls winning 35 games this year, or maybe even more. In the 11th seed, I have the Washington Wizards. The Wizards are probably the weirdest team on this list. Having AD, Trae Young, Chris Middleton, Alex Sarr, and the first overall pick in AJ Dubanta should be a team that performs extremely well. The only problem is that it's 2027. I still think that Trae Young can give you 25 and 10 a night, but we're asking a 33-year-old Anthony Davis to be the defensive anchor on a team that let Bam Adebayo score 83 points on them in a single game. AD's health gets made fun of a lot, but he's played 9 and 20 games respectively through the last 2 seasons. If AD can be healthy, I can see this team being a bit higher, but I wouldn't bet on it despite him being one of the all-time greats. I have the Wizards winning like 38 games this season, but they wouldn't surprise me if they won 25. Making it into the top 10, I have the Orlando Magic. The Magic were one of my underrated or even dark horses to win last year, and they took the 60-win Pistons to 7 games. But their offense looks so stagnant at points that it's surprising that they're even an NBA team. Powell might not have the best jump shot, but he can give you 23, 8, and 5 a night. Franz Wagner can also fill a similar role. I like Desmond Bane, but I don't think that he was worth the 4 first-round picks that were given up for him. Unless Gucci Mane can go back to his old Magic ways, I think this team would be lucky to crack the top 10 and even luckier to crack 40 wins. At 9, I have the Atlanta Hawks. Jalen Johnson is a triple-double threat on a nightly basis and is one of the better two-way players in the league. Scratch that, he's probably a top 20 to 25 player in the league. Kingston Fleming seems like he can come in and make an impact right away, and sharing a backcourt with Jalen Johnson is probably the way to do that. But CJ McCollum is only getting older, and despite him going absolutely crazy in that next series, I think he'll probably have a down year. Dyson Daniels is a shooting guard who can't shoot, and they traded for Lou Dort. So unless their plan is to have Lou Dort injure the other team's best player on a nightly basis, I don't know how this team can do much better than the play-in. I see the Hawks at 40 wins this season. At 8, I have the Indiana Pacers. I want to rank them higher, but looking at the rest of these teams, it's just difficult to do. I think that Tyrese Halliburton coming back will make them relevant again, and I love the trade for Zubac, but I don't know if it takes you from 90 wins to 60. I just hope that the Pacers can play that same fast-paced offense that made them so fun to watch in their finals run a year ago. I could see this team being way higher, but looking at the teams that we have left to rank, I can't justify them being better than any of those teams. I have the Pacers around the 45 win mark for this upcoming season. At the 7th spot, I have the Boston Celtics. Before you get too upset with me, the rest of this list is pretty interchangeable. I could see each of the following teams winning 50 plus games if everything goes right. Looking at the Celtics team, I'm just wondering how they don't take a step back from last year. Despite them losing in the first round to the 76ers, getting rid of Jaylen Brown for a 36-year-old Paul George is head-scratching at best. I think PG could show that he has a little left in the tank, but I think he only has a little left. Jason Tatum, as much as I hate to admit it, is trying to crack the top 5 best players list each season, and if he's healthy, he has a chance to actually do that. As a Miami fan, I hate to admit it, but I want to see Jason Tatum lead the Celtics team, and I want to see how great he can be, because it seems like there was kind of a clashing of egos between the Jays, and even though they won that championship together, it just seems like it needs to be Jason Tatum's team. I think that the C's should move off Derek White, especially with how poorly he played in that Sixers series. But if Hugo Gonzalez can be half as good as Celtics fans think he is, then they might go 82-0. Conservatively, I think the C's can win at a minimum 45 games this year. Entering the top 6, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is always a team that performs well in the regular season, so it's really saying something that I have them at 6th best in the East. Donovan Mitchell is proving year after year that he's one of those ones, and I think he can replicate his success from last year. Even though James Harden is getting to be an old man, he's still a guy who can score at will. With Evan Mobley being a dominant defensive presence inside and Jared Allen finally getting over the lights being too bright, I think this team will continue to have a lot of regular season success. But come playoff time, that might be an entirely different story. I have the Cavs around the 45 win mark as well. Entering the top 5, I have my Miami Heat. It pains me to rank them this low, but I really think unless we get LeBron, we're gearing up for a title run in the 2027-2028 season. Having Giannis is a dream come true, and he's easily a top 5 player in the league. Defensively, the lineup of Davion Mitchell, Tim Hardaway Jr., Andrew Wiggins, Giannis, and Bam should be insanely good. I'm super excited to see Bam have a load taken off of him defensively, and I think he's going to take a leap from 3 this year. It could be my bias, but I don't think the spacing of this team is even that bad, and I think that we could have a top 10 offense in the league while having the best defense in the league. I could see the Heat winning 50 games this year, which I know is optimistic, but I have to have a little bit of delusion since they're my favorite team. In the 4th slot, I have the Toronto Raptors. This is based on if Kawhi is allowed to go to the Raps because of his green thumb. But I see a team that won 46 games last season trading for Kawhi Leonard and think, how can they not become better than that? Especially when the asking price was Brandon Ingram. I'm super excited to see Scotty Barnes get some help in one of the greatest players of all time in Kawhi Leonard. The rest of this team doesn't even move me that much, but just this duo will be that good. I'm expecting the Raptors to approach that 50 win mark this season, easily. In the top 3, I have the 2026 champions, the New York Knicks. They haven't made a ton of moves this offseason other than losing Mitchell Robinson, but their core is still intact, and I don't know how anyone could have them lower than the 3 seed. Jalen Brunson is proving to men everywhere that size doesn't matter, and Cat has solidified himself as one of the best big men in the league. The Nova Knicks are something everyone is familiar with, so I won't spend too much time on them. I expect them to cruise to 50 games as long as they don't enter that championship slump. The second best team in the Eastern Conference this season will be the Detroit Pistons. They just won 60 games last year, and they signed John Collins to help lift some of the scoring load off Cade Cunningham. Cade is one of my favorite players to watch, and I have no doubt that he will lead the Pistons team to another great season. Expect Jalen Duren to have a great year and seek revenge for his abysmal playoff performance. Ausar Thompson has been due for a serious sleep as well, at least I'm hoping. As long as Cade can stay healthy, I think the Pistons will easily hit the 55 win mark. And that brings us to the 1 seed. I think that the best team in the Eastern Conference this season will be the Philadelphia 76ers. The Sixers getting Jaylen Brown really shakes up everything. Joel Embiid is never able to stay healthy, and I don't even think that's his fault. But now he doesn't have to. He can rest up for the playoffs because he has Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, and Jaylen Brown as his supporting cast, not even counting on a potential LeBron James signing. I think Dean Wade can come into this lineup and they will still easily be the best regular season team in the East. Tyrese Maxey just seems to get better and better each year. VJ Edgecombe is entering his 2nd year, and if he can avoid a sophomore slump, he will be one of the best role players in the league. I know there are some concerns about Jaylen Brown and his character, especially his off-ball play, but I don't even think it matters when you have arguably 3 top 15 players on one team. This team could sleepwalk to 60 wins, and they just might. This concludes my Eastern Conference ranking video. Thanks for watching, and please don't be too upset. I'm a casual, and everything I said is probably going to be wrong. I just think it'll be funny to look back on this and say, wow, I really thought the Sixers were going to win 60 games. But yeah, I'll probably do the same thing for the Western Conference. But anyways, be good to yourself, be good to one another, and thanks for listening to another ramble.
Yeah, like that.